Hi everyone, it's Jai452 back again, going behind the mask. Joining me this week is my very special guest, the one, the only, Nell Wilson. Hi Nell.
Hi, how are you guys?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing good, just great.
Awesome. So in case anybody doesn't know, Nell was one of the 2 season finalists on Who Wants to Be a Superhero Season 1, and her code name was Fat Mama. So,
That's right.
Nell, the first thing I'd like to ask you is, how did you hear about the show?
Okay, well, I heard about the show, but I have 3 kids, and my daughter at that time, she loves like social media. Her name's Alexis, and she told me about the show. So it started off as a joke because she was saying they're interviewing for a superhero. So we were all sitting on the couch watching TV, me and the kids, and I was like, "Oh, I could do that." And they said, "Well, what would your character be?" So we were kind of name playing. I said, "Well, I'm fat and I'm a mama, so I'll be Fat Mama." And so we just kind of laughed and played with it. And so while they were sitting there, I had snuck upstairs and I got my son's Batman cape. And I put the Batman cape on and I came downstairs singing, I'm Fat Mama, Fat Mama. And so that's kind of how the whole thing started. And I put some leotards on and some stretch pants. So my daughter said, "I dare you to go do that." So it kind of started off as a dare. So we started thinking of this song, which was to me the dumbest song in the world. It made no sense. And so they dared me to go sing it. So when I did, I was like surprised because they just loved it. They was like, "Oh my God, that is so cute." And so I was like, when they did tell me that they were going to cast me, I was starting to think, "Oh my God, now I have to go on TV and actually do this." So it all started up with a dare.
Awesome. Now, leading up to like going out for that first interview, and I think it was in Florida. The show was
No,
set? Sorry,
it was actually in Hollywood. It was down in Hollywood, the interview that I went to.
right.
And it was out on Gower Street in one of the big studios that they have. And so it was lines of people, just people, like big buildings of people with costumes. And I wasn't really used to any of that because I had never, went to Comic-Con or any of that stuff then. So when I went for the audition, I was like, "Oh my God, look at all these grown people in costumes and stuff." So I thought it was funny. So which made it easier for me because I'm good at joking and just kind of going along with the crowd. So when I went for that interview, that's where I met, you didn't really meet. I didn't see any of the characters that was actually on the show because there's so many people. You just go in, you're on the camera, you say what you're going to say and you leave. So you don't know if you have it until they call you later, So at that point, I hadn't known anything about any of the other characters. But I think they also auditioned people from other states and stuff. So they probably had auditions set up all over.
It's as far as I remember from previous interviews, that's kind of how it went. There was interviews done in Florida for season 2. There was interviews done in Hollywood, and some of them were done in New York. So they were pretty much all over the place.
All over. Yeah, they also do a lot of video submissions. So when you submit for that stuff, there's someone in a room and they just play those tapes over, listen. And if they see something interesting, then they pull it and give it to the casting director. So it's a lot of ways to get in from all over the world.
Is that something that you got the opportunity to do, the video casting, or did you just say, "No, I'm going to go down and meet them in person"?
No, I just went there and met them in person because my daughter has had some information on that it said they were interviewing for this. So usually you call a number and they set you up with an appointment time. So that's what I did. I just went in as a raw person going for an interview, and that's how they ended up picking me.
Awesome. So when you made the decision to go down for the interview, what was the reaction of your family and friends when you told them, "I'm taking this serious, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to this interview"?
Well, when I went for the interview, nobody knew except for my kids that was at home. Because, like I say, it was more of a dare. But then, as we put the song together, and when we thought about my character and my superpowers and different things that I could do, it was all based on like helping people to not bully. And back then, bullying wasn't big, where it was on TV as much as it is now. So my whole thing was, because I was fat, I wanted people to learn that you have to be happy with yourself. If you don't like yourself, then can't expect other people to like you. So my whole point was just to get on TV to let people know is that you're okay, whether you're fat, tall, skinny, gay, whichever things that people have in their life going on, you shouldn't let anyone make you feel bad about your choices. So when I went on, that's the message. I think they liked my message, and then it just happened to be funny. So my whole concept was that if you could laugh at yourself, you could love yourself. And if you can laugh and get other people to laugh, everyone's going to love you, So my whole thing was being funny. And I wanted people to stop looking down at the word fat. Because the minute that our kids grow up and they see this, they learn from us. And what we do is walk around and someone says you're fat, the first thing a kid does is cry. And my son was chubby. So when he was little, he had a fat stomach. And he would come home and he'd say, Mom, the kids are teasing me because my stomach's fat. Well, people think I'm mean in a source, because my way of teaching is to tell him, I say, you do have a fat stomach. You got to deal with it. Either stop eating so much or you have a fat stomach, So I would rub his little stomach at night and I say, I love your little fat tummy, So I would get him to like himself by accepting himself. And if you stand in the mirror and you see something you don't like and you can fix it, well, fix it. But if not, you just have to deal with it and accept it. So that's what when I went on the show, that I wanted people to know. My family, no one even knew I was going on the show. So it was really funny that when I left, I had my older daughter, I let her take care of the other two kids. And we were gone for weeks and we didn't even know where we were going. But she knew, had emergency contact. So nobody knew about the show until it was actually aired and it came on, because we never said anything. So it was exciting.
Obviously, being under NDA, you wouldn't have had the opportunity to say, I'm going to be on this show too, like anybody else.
Right.
So when did it become real for you that you were going to be doing this? When did it hit you? I
don't think it got real. Even when they first told you that you were on the show, you had to meet somewhere. And they would make sure that you knew that you were going to this place and that you wouldn't know where you're going. But anyway, as it started off, I'm thinking I'm just going to be there for the opening and, they're going to get rid of me and I'm going home. It's done. So when we first got there, it was kind of like a cocktail party. And it was this party with all kind of people in there and stuff. So we in there and just kind of meeting each other. And I'm thinking we're just meeting different potential cast members that's going to be on the show. And as we left there and got into the limousine, and they took us to this location where they started doing this elimination. And at the first elimination, that's when I thought it was funny, because I was like, these people, they were younger than me. And to me, they were like just so eager to meet Stan and the cherished Stan and everything, that they were just out of their minds, thinking all the worst of being perfect and how can I do this and what should I do? So mine was like, who is Stan Lee, Like, my son loved Batman. I knew Batman and Robin and different stuff like that, but I wasn't really in the comic books and stuff, so I didn't really have anything to lose. So when I went in, I was just a jokester. I would say stuff and laugh and get to know people. But a couple of the characters, like Nigel G, one night we were at the first night, they were in like this jacuzzi, him and Lemuria and some other people. I don't remember who all was in there, but they were talking game talk, and they like, so who do you think is going to be the first one to go? And Nigel G said, oh, it's going to be Fat Mama for sure. She shouldn't even be here. So they were talking, and I was like over to the side. And at first my feelings was hurt, because I'm like, well, why they just picking on me because I'm fat, and stuff. So you start thinking, stuff like that. And so I didn't let it get me down. I just kind of played it off like I really didn't hear, And so the funny thing was at the first elimination, when he got eliminated, oh my God, I laughed so hard. I'm like, okay, see what happens when you're mean and you treat people, you discriminate and stuff. That's how God works it out. So I just kind of, from that point on, just said, I'm going to continue to just be myself, But me and Nigel G ended up being really good friends later, and he was young then. He couldn't even drink, I don't think. He wasn't even 21, So I think this show did a lot for people.
He was very, very young. I think I remember him saying he was roughly... Oh God, this is 6 years ago. So, probably
he was like 19.
Yeah, roughly 19,
18 or 19, because he couldn't even drink.
Yeah, actually, I remember him saying that he had to converse with his parents at the time, to get to go to the location. But that's it's kind of sad that he got voted off so early and. But things happen.
Yeah, when you're careless and when you, like I say, with the boys, they were so eager to try to please someone. And when you please everyone but yourself, you're bound to do something wrong because you're not thinking, you're just kind of reacting, So I think that's what happened with him, is that he was just young and it just happened like that.
So let's talk a little bit about the creation of your character. Now, you kind of mentioned that it was a little bit of a joke with yourself and your children. When you guys actually sat down and started kind of building a backstory for your character and what kind of powers she has, where did a lot of that come from?
Okay, well, originally, like, if you see the show, I have donuts hanging. But originally, I had Twinkies. So I would say, don't you take my Twinkies away. But for the show, they would have to get approval, from Twinkies. So they didn't do that. So originally, me and my kids were thinking that, okay, since I'm fat, I have to eat something. So my whole thing was I would eat the donut or the Twinkie and it gives me my powers. And my powers were, my favorite hero, superhero was the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk. I've always loved the Incredible Hulk. So I was kind of taking on some stuff to turn him on, where I said, okay, I could grow 5 times my size. And, when I get angry and I bite my donut, I could grow and then I could stomp out people. So I would stomp out all the bullies and things. So then I made it where I can fly and, just powers that I wanted kids to be able to relate to, and also stuff that we could use in our everyday, way of living, and it doesn't seem so impossible. I mean, of course, we can't fly, but we can become big and strong when we get, our feelings hurt or something's wrong, and we have to stand up and we have to protect ourselves. So that's kind of where I started grabbing like powers of what would I do if I was really angry and stuff. So that's where a lot of the powers came from.
Awesome. So we'll go back to your audition process, your first audition process. When you were amongst the crowd and you were seeing all these different people dressed up as superheroes, what were your initial impressions? Were there anybody that you got the chance to speak to that you thought, oh, they're definitely going to be on the show?
Yeah, it was a lot of people that was really cute. I think I remember someone was like a big bubble. It looked like a big piece of bubble gum or something, but it was a big bubble. It was so many fascinating costumes that I don't even know how they picked from, what they picked, but I think they picked more on their backstories and the stuff that they can do. But I don't remember. It's been so long back, so far back. But I do remember like seeing a lot of people that made up their costumes, which was really nice to not just come in as Batman or, something like that. So I don't know the names of different people, but I know it was a lot of really awesome costumes. And that's what made me afterwards start going to Comic-Con, because it's so enjoyable to walk around and see people in their costumes. And my son looks forward to it, and he loves wearing costumes. When we go to the movies, if it's a movie out, like this past week, we went to see My Little Pony with my granddaughter, and I dressed her all up in her pony outfit and My Little Pony. And my daughter, who's 32, her mom, she gets mad. She's like, "Why do you have to dress her up for all this stuff?" So and I'm like, "Well, I like kids to be kids, to grow up and just have a good time and express yourself all kind of different ways, because I think that brings out their personalities and makes people just feel good about themselves and gives them a chance to also be someone else, for that day and stuff." So I've always loved costumes and parties and stuff.
So let's talk about eventually going into the lair.
Okay.
I think that's where they eventually moved you guys to once they picked the cast.
Yes.
From your initial impressions of the people that you were going into the house with, who did you feel you were going to be getting on with the most, and who did you feel you would get on with the least?
Okay, so when we got to the lair, it was kind of interesting because it was like a sweatshop looked on the bottom, people sewing and, building. And then when you went into the actual lair, it was really beautiful the way it was laid out. But it was this room, and all of our beds was in that room. So it's twin beds lined up against one side of the wall and lined up against the other side. And so to me, I was like, oh, this is going to be fun, because I have 9 brothers and sisters, and we all shared, it's 6 girls and 4 boys, and we slept in rooms where it's 4 beds in a room and stuff. So I'm like, okay, at nighttime, that's going to be fun, because you can sit there and chit-chat and laugh and talk. And that's where my mind was. Some of them was so I don't want to say stuck up, but stuck on themselves and stuff that they didn't want to have fun, So I knew from the beginning, Creature and Lemuria and some of the girls like that, they didn't want to have anything to do with me because I was too playful and too happy, So they would kind of snubbed me, and so then I started thinking of, okay, I'll get them back. And I started doing little tricks around the house and stuff to get people, kind of warm them up at the same time. So I knew from the beginning, Tibeculus, me and him was going to be best friends because he was playful like me. He was a fireman, but he had such a good sense of humor, and he was so down to earth. Me and him became really good friends. Feedback was more like I felt so sorry for him because he was like my little son. It was like, if that was my son, I would help him the way I would help Feedback. And so he was so tense and so uptight, and he just perfect and make sure his clothes was all right. And so I'm like, relax a little. I want to give him a pat on the back and kind
of. I remember watching yours and Feedback's dynamic on the show from season 1, and I'll admit to you now, when I was watching season 1 with my cousins, we got to see season 2 before we got season 1 over here, which is kind of weird, but we knew the differentiation, we knew that anything that had Hyperstrike, Hygiena, Parthenon, or even Diffuser on it was season 2, and we knew that Feedback and Lemuria, Nitro G, and Fat Mama and Feedback were all season 1. But when we watched season 1 together, the one thing that really shone through was how Feedback started off quite tense in the house, and we all kind of worried about him at that point, because we're like, is he gonna emotionally be able to get through the show? And when you started like you mentioned, trying to relax him, it really shone through, and we're like, oh, thank God somebody did that. Because
Yeah.
We were so worried that he was going to have a nervous breakdown on the show.
Yeah, I really worried because if he almost got eliminated or he got called up, oh my God, that night, I mean, you could just hear him when he's laying in the bed. It's like he's asleep, but he's not asleep. You could hear his mind. I could even read what he's saying, you know. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't think he's going to make this, you know. So I started playing Major Victory. Me and him was like really funny, like together. We would play and laugh. Great. And all through the house, we run through doing stuff, you know. So when we started kind of joking with feedback and, you know, telling him to loosen up and stuff like that, we did see that lovable person start to shine and he started relaxing, you know, and stuff. But it was like, I think my first one really initiative person that I was best friends with was Tuberculous. So when he left early, I was really upset, you know, with that. But I knew I was going to miss him, but him and Major Victory. So we would all, you know, kind of talk together, hang out and stuff like that. But when feedback actually started loosening up and showing that, you know, he cares and he for something other than that, then I think he started to shine, you know, and you could see the little kid in his eye. I could just, when I talk to him, even now, like me and him are really best friends. We go to lunch, we meet up and, you know, stuff like that. He's helped me with my son, like whenever he's doing like something as a single parent, you know, sometimes things are hard. So when he was playing football, he helped him raise money, and his computer friends and stuff all gave Daniel money for his uniform. So he really comes through all the time for me, you know. I just, that was just like a match made in heaven. So whenever I see feedback, I always looked at feedback like Clark Kent to me. He take those glasses off and it was kind of like I'm a way older than all of them. But when I look at feedback, I'll be like, oh, he's kind of hot. You know, I would have this little look. So even when we go places.
I think there was like one episode where you and the girls are all talking about the boys in the house. Or there's a general discussion, like the boys aren't there or they're off in a different part of the house being tortured by Stan. And you girls are getting the opportunity to talk, and you are talking about who... it's like, I don't really want to say this on camera, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's my show. It's kind of like Kiss, Marry, Kill. Like you guys were playing a game like that.
Oh, okay.
And the way that it was filmed, it like they got to the subject of feedback, and I think you kind of said, yeah, he's very, very sweet or something similar. And then it kind of did this, they did this cutaway bit where it's like still pictures of yourself and feedback, and they draw this little heart around it. I just remember, I don't think I saw that. I just remember seeing that and just going, oh, I hope to God one of them had something to do with that, like in the post-editing piece.
No, I never, like, I thought he was, you know, I thought he was cute, but I know, like, certain people, I mean, if anything, I thought Tribeculus was hot, because he was a big old strong man with these arms and biceps and everything like that. So if it was a romance thing, I probably would have picked him. But with feedback, it's always been like somebody you just want to see succeed, because you know on the inside there's a good person that's trying to come out, you know. And that's always been what it is like with me and feedback, is he's so genuine, and he seems like sometimes things just didn't go his way. And I know when he was young, his dad passed, and he had a lot of stuff, you know, issues and stuff that he was dealing with, but he was just the sweetest person that you would meet. So like I say, I always looked at feedback like I look at my son Daniel. Is like he's always been like the underdog and people tease him and stuff. But then he doesn't care. Daniel walks around and he's like, he doesn't even notice. You can tease him and mess with him one day, and he'll still come to school and think you're his friend, you know? So he doesn't see the bad in people. And that's kind of how feedback was. It's like he doesn't see the bad in people because he's just so eager to be good and to help everyone. So that's why I thought he was a prime candidate for Stan to, you know, take under his wing and be there for him, because that's what, to me, a real superhero is not someone in a costume and someone who wants to everyone to know I'm the strongest person in the world, I'm the fastest person. It's the person that's the most genuine, that will do stuff unexpected, because a hero comes out of nowhere. It doesn't just come from what we look like. And that's why I thought, Feedback deserved to be the winner.
Let's backtrack a little bit and talk about people you feel on first impression that you wouldn't get on with in the house. Was there anybody that was either male or female that just kind of stood out to you as somebody like, if I wasn't on this show, I would never be seen with you?
No, there's actually no one in my life that I really treat like that, because I think everybody had something. Like Creature, for instance, she would say stuff about eating natural, and we would have these discussions, and it would kind of like look like you picking on the fact that we eat regular. She would eat no, I forgot what vegan, but she would eat different kind of foods. And but she never made you feel bad because you ate something, but she would preach to you about how to eat healthy and what you should eat and why she doesn't eat this and that. So even though she had her personality, we still were all good. Like Cell Phone Girl, she was so sweet. She was just so quiet. And, so we may not have talked and did a lot of stuff together. But I remember afterwards at one of the conventions that we went to, me, her, and Major Victory, we hung out that night. We went to New York. They flew us to New York to do one of the Today Show. And so when I got to meet her there, and we was more relaxed, and we went out and all partied and stuff like that, she was really fun. And at first I was thinking that she was so quiet and stuff around me that she felt uncomfortable. But really, we all just each had our own different personalities. So I try not to block people out and prejudge you because you look a certain way and you act a certain way, and stuff, because I think you miss out on your blessings and, the things that's going to come your way by prejudging people.
Definitely. When you look back on the show, specifically when the girls are saying, or anybody in the house was saying, now we've got to eat healthy, we've got to do this. I remember watching that, and at the time myself, I was a little bit heavier, and I honestly felt as if they were kind of, not so much attacking, but it felt like it was always aimed at you when it was mealtime in the house. And I was like, geez, guys, like, just ease the F up on her.
Right,
like,
right.
Just because what they feel is like food might not necessarily be food to like yourself or myself. And I remember looking at what the others were eating, and I was just thinking, to me that is like rabbit food. And oddly enough, I thought that you verbally said it, and I'm like,
right,
oh my god, same wavelength.
Well, because people go through life and they so worried about what they look like and what size they are. Well, here's my thing. How many people, like with me, for instance, and my son, we're overweight. I mean, you can look at us and see we're overweight, but we're completely healthy. I'm 55. I just turned 55. Wow. I go to the gym 3 times a week. Yes. And I work out, and I eat good, healthy food because I'm a chef also. So I love to cook, and we eat good food. We eat too much food and we get heavy, but I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have diabetes. I have no illnesses or anything. So I look at some people that's eating salad every day, and they have cancer. Some of them have osteoporosis. They have all these different diseases that you want to blame, but they don't harp on the fact that you could be heavy and you could be healthy. You don't have to just eat, junk. And I want to be happy. So I do want to eat in moderation. So I did lose a lot of weight, if you notice, from when I did the show to now. I'm like about 50 pounds, 60 pounds smaller, but not because I just said I'm going to binge and I'm going to go on a diet. You have to do stuff that it keeps you happy, because I still eat too much and I still, want to cut down. But I don't think it's right for people to infringe what they think is healthy or the right way of living on everybody else and then look down at you. So that's why on the show, I'm like, they probably didn't even really eat like that. You doing that.
That was what got me, because like, after we finished every episode, like not on a like a binge watching kind of thing, but every time we finished an episode, because they were shown over here when they got to season 1, they were shown bi-weekly, so it was like every other week. We would sit down and talk about the episode, and when it came to that particular one where it really did feel as if everybody was getting to you, we spoke about that, and I remember saying to my cousins, it really shouldn't be like that. And I'm kind of like, I was angry, like really angry at the producers as a kid, watching this and going, they really shouldn't have done that. That was rude. It was mean. It was a form of bullying that really shouldn't have been shown, especially on television. And my older cousin kind of explained to me, you know, that's the beauty of it being shown, because it makes, like, he understood what your message was right away, you know. And that's what he pointed out to me. He says it was good that they did do that, because it makes Fat Mama's message that much more stronger and put out there much, much better than anything that they could have done previous to that. And it took me a long time to get that, but when I eventually, like, I rewatched the series now that I'm a bit older, and now that I understand all the kind of behind the scenes work that goes into making a television show, I really do now understand and greatly appreciate that they have specifically highlighted that particular portion, so that your message is that much stronger, and it's something that someone can be proud of, to say, you know, hey, it doesn't matter what size you are, you've got to be happy within your own skin.
Exactly. So, exactly. That's what made what they mean when they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Exactly. Because everything that happens to you in your life, if you had the perfect little life, and if you look at rich people, for instance, and how their kids turn out, they're the ones that turn out messed up because they had everything handed to you. Like, I grew up in a family where it's 10 of us, so we all by the same mom and dad. So my dad used to go to work, and he had to feed 10 children, and he had a minimum job, you know. So it was, my dad used to say to me, I would never want to be rich, because when you're rich, you don't really know who your friends are. You don't really know a lot of stuff that's just given to you. You appreciate life better. So I remember one time, if we got good grades, we could get a reward from my father. So I remember working really hard, and he bought me this suede coat. You know, back then it was a little suede jacket, and I was so proud of that jacket because I earned that jacket. Versus when we went to the store and we went school shopping, and you can go pick 10 outfits and this and that. You know, you go and you running and you picking stuff because you can get anything. But when you have to earn something, it makes you remember, it makes you have some honor, and it makes you grow up and treat people nicer than you would treat people if stuff is just thrown at you all the time. We have celebrities, and I used to always say, why do they have all this money and now they're drug addicts and in rehab? Why would you have everything in front of you and then go say, let me get so sloppy drunk that I don't even remember it? Because they already have so many issues going on with them that they're trying to hide and cover up. And a parent is not really parenting them as they're growing up. What they're doing is just spending their money, enjoying their wealthies and stuff. And they don't think, like one of my daughters, her best friend, her mother just always told her how not to overeat. And she's a small girl, not to overeat. Every dinner they went to, she harped on her. Till finally, this girl is now in a hospital where she's anorexic. So she started throwing up and doing different stuff. And every time she gained 10 pounds, and that's what your kids end up doing when you just harp on them to be perfect. Just accept them the way they are. We are perfect, you know? So that's why I laugh at them when they say, I want people to say, yes, my name is Fat Mama. I'm not ashamed. We need to change the word fat to not being something that we say, or oh my God, you know, we should be able to say, yeah, I'm fat, or yes, I'm skinny, you know, whatever it is. So that's why when people got mad at the show, we had like in the the TV Guide magazine, when they first interviewed and talked about the show, they were saying I was making a joke of myself. But see, what they didn't realize was that I was trying to get people to realize that it's okay to be who you are. If you can accept yourself, everyone else has to accept you. So I've gone through life. I've had some really happy times. I've traveled a lot. I've done everything I want to do. And none of it stopped me because I was fat, So that's what I want people to wake up and stop bullying each other and messing with, kids messing with each other at school and making you feel so down about yourself. But you have to take the power because the power is in your hand. And like I tell my son, if someone says you fat, the first thing you should say is, hey, you know what? I am fat. Because now what can that bully do? He's like, now he's stuck. He's like, now what do I go on? She's admitting she's fat. So say, yeah, I'm fat. So what? Now, what about it? If they say you're too skinny. Okay, I'm too skinny. Now what? So then they lose their power. And that's what we need to do is make people lose the power. Don't give them that power that you're going to go run and hide and cry and binge and do all that. Say, this is me, and go on.
Let's talk about the challenges on the show, because you guys were set challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Which out of all the challenges that you did on season 1 was your favorite challenge to do?
I think my favorite one was with the dogs. Because
really?
Those dogs, when they hit you, oh my God, it's like they knock you to the floor and they're grabbing you. You actually feel each bite that they pinch, when they get. And but it was so fun because I was still trying to make it to that door. They was dragging me and I was crawling along. But I like thrilling and exciting stuff. So I think that was my favorite challenge.
When that challenge came up, obviously on the show they tell you what you guys are going to be doing as you are arriving.
Mm-hmm.
But when we saw the first person, I think the first person was one of the boys. I think it may have been Major Victory that went first on that challenge. Or if he didn't, he was the first one that they filmed. The producers cut for the filming.
Right.
But when he got whacked by that dog and it literally just slapped him over, I remember very specifically, I'm sitting on the couch and I've got my eldest cousin on this side of me, my youngest cousin, well, not my youngest, but my middle cousin on this side of me. I just went like that with my hands, and we all just kind of went like this, because we were like, there's no way that we are going to get through this unless we've got physical contact with each other.
Right.
And we're just like, we couldn't not look away, we were like, oh my God, is these dogs going to rip them to pieces? And Stan Lee's allowing this?
No, that was really, to me, was really good. It was another one that they didn't air, and I don't know why they didn't. We were on top of the building in downtown where the lair was, and they put this piece of wood going from one building to the other. And so they told us we had to walk across this blindfold. So they had, which we didn't know, they led us from the downstairs upstairs with blindfolds on the whole time. And so they had these big giant fans, you didn't know, but you could hear this stuff. And as we're trying to go across that piece of wood, it feels like you're wobbling and stuff. Well, you knew you're not going to die. Something's going to probably catch you, and straight. But when they took those blindfolds, I was so proud that I made it across without falling. And when they took the blindfolds off and you saw you was just on a piece of wood on the building and over the ledge, it was so hilarious. But in your heart was beating. Every one of those tasks that we did, they knew what they were doing, and your heart was beating 100 miles an hour. With the prisoners, we had no idea those weren't real prisoners. Somebody told me later, the lady I was sitting and talking to was on the Disney show. And I'm like, I'd never seen her before. She was just this big old woman that looked like she was going to knock my head off, So you don't know that stuff.
I'm just going to go back to the dogs one really, really quickly, and then we'll address the prisoners and the walking across the 2x4. So for the dogs one, who did you feel was definitely going to do this and get to the end no matter what?
I kind of thought, what was the, I thought if Tybeculus was there, he probably would have made it because the dogs were so strong. It was just the force and the heaviness. And I knew the way they knocked me down, that them women was going to be like dragged, like little rag dolls, just being swung all over. So I knew none of them was going to make it. I was like, there's no way. But I kind of thought maybe Feedback would be able to do it. And, I want to say, I can't even think of his name. The big machine guns, the villain.
Oh, I know who you're on about. Unfortunately, I can't remember his name either. I'm so sorry. If you're watching this, we are sorry.
Yeah, so them two.
I remember watching it and thinking if any of the women were going to get across, it would be you.
Okay.
And it wasn't any kind of like the dog wasn't going to knock you over kind of thing. It was just the same idea. When I looked at the other girls, I was like, those dogs, those girls, no.
Yeah. You know who was strong was Monkey Woman. Monkey Woman would surprise you. I mean, she was dragging, she would pull, and she had a lot of guts where she would get out there and really do stuff. So I was really shocked with her strength and stuff of her hanging in and doing everything. So she was another one that was really strong, and she was really sweet. I love Monkey Woman. Her personality, she just loved everybody.
I think just as a little added bonus, it wasn't that long after the show had wrapped that she finally tied the knot with her longtime fiance.
Yes, she got married, and she has a little baby. So cute. I see them all on Facebook because we're like good friends on Facebook. So yeah, she did get married. So happy, and her little baby, and Cell Phone Girl also got married. And the Cell Phone Girl is the one that has a little baby.
Oh.
Yeah, and she got married. But Monkey Woman did get married too, and I think she lives in like California still, but like San Francisco up that way.
Awesome. So let's talk about the 2x4 one. Now, obviously, you guys didn't get to see it, but we did. But we were shown like what you guys would have had to have walked, like when you were up on the roof.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking. Now, I remember watching this, and I was at that point I was starting to get a little bit wise to what the producers were doing with the challenges, and I'm like, I don't think, like, I remember looking at it and going, I don't think they're going to let them do that. Like, I don't think they're going to make them walk from building to building. Something's not quite right here.
Yeah.
And when they brought you guys down from the roof to just walk across, like, the 2x4 from, like, wood panel, cement base to cement base kind of thing. I was just sitting there going, who's going to work out first? Who's going to work out they're not 50,000 feet above here? And... well, my youngest cousin was kind of like laughing at the situation, going, haha, they have no idea that they're in no danger whatsoever. My eldest cousin was going pretty much the same as me. He's like, who's going to work it out? Like, who's going to be the smart one that will suss out they're nowhere near what they need to be? You can mention doing that one. Was that one a personal yippee for you, like, at the end? Because I think you were one of the ones that was a little bit scared to do that one, if I'm not mistaken. Because obviously a lot of people do have a fear of heights, and that's a very understandable fear. So what was that like once you kind of got the chance to take off the blindfold? Because I can imagine a lot of people would have been pissed that it wasn't like that far off and dangerous.
I wasn't really pissed. I took every challenge. Like, I always look at life like this. I was like, it's on TV. They can't let me die. So I just always look at that. So my thinking was, at the most, I'm gonna fly down on a rope and be dangling somewhere. So I never thought about, being injured. Now, when I get up on stuff, I might have got, scared, and my heart like started, or you might even see me sweating or something, but I pretty much would be willing to try anything that somebody puts up as a challenge. One of those at the end that we got to go to this training of me, Major Victory. Okay, well, that training, they had some dangerous stuff that we had to do. Mm-hmm. And one thing they wanted me to do, I was going to get up there and do. They were clowning me at that time. They didn't think I was going to actually try and do it. So right before I stepped up on this trampoline to do this, they all started laughing. They said, we wouldn't let you do that. And they wouldn't actually let me do it. But they was like, you was really going to try? I said, well, you told me to do it. So that's kind of like where my personality is I'm going to try to do it. If you think I should be doing it, I'm going to try to do it. So I didn't really have the fear of not doing it. But of course, you still have that fear. Am I going to succeed or not? So that's kind of where I was on each of the challenges. I think that's why I made it so far, is because they can see that in my heart, I was willing to just do whatever I had to do, on there.
Let's talk about going back to another challenge that you mentioned, the prisoners challenge. Mm-hmm. Now, I have to commend the producers because they really did pick really unknown actors at that point. So
yeah,
there was no way of knowing unless somebody, like you said, pointed out, oh, that person's on the Disney Channel.
Right.
There was no way of knowing that these people weren't hardened criminals.
Right.
How did you feel going in, like when they said, okay, you guys are going in to speak to hardened criminals and we want you to, I think the challenge was to get them to turn their life around?
Right. And I think the challenge, we had to get them to say something because I remember the lady I was with, I kept trying, we had to do certain things. So I had to braid her hair. And she wasn't having it. And I'm like, that would look cute. Let me just show you how to do it. And I was like, oh my God, this lady's going to punch me, but I'm getting this braid in her hair. So I kept talking to her and I had no idea that she was an actor. And I was like scared in one sense, but I'm like, at the most I'm going to have a black eye or something at the end, So I just kind of, took each one on and said, okay, let me try to talk to her and just talk to her like I would talk to myself if someone came and visit me and I was in prison, So I don't know. That one was kind of funny to me because we really didn't know they weren't. Like the one Major Victory had that guy, I was like, oh my God. What people don't realize is we didn't get to see what each other did. No. So until it came on TV, I was like, oh my God, look at his. I thought mine was bad. And I think Feedback had a pretty good one too. So some of them just looked like prisoners to me. I wouldn't have never known they weren't prisoners.
I can't remember if it was Major Victory or Feedback that had the challenge in that particular aspect to hug the prisoner, and I was like,
that was Major Victory.
I remember watching.
He was so playful. He did hug him, and he wouldn't let go of him.
I remember watching that challenge and thinking, right, the person who had the handshake, they got off lightly, like really lightly. I remember even thinking, like, a pat on the back, that's fine, you can do that without getting like shanked. The braiding of the hair, which was your personal one, I was like, oh, I can see something really bad happening there. Like you say, at worst, a black eye.
Right.
But when somebody said, you have to hug this guy, I was like, are you insane? These are hardened criminals. It really showed how young I was at the time. I was like believing these were hardened criminals.
Right.
But it was like we said that these were unknown actors at the time, or if they were known actors, they weren't really, really well known.
Right, really known, right.
So there was no way that you could tell that they weren't hardened criminals, so it was kind of like, oh dear God.
Exactly.
So Yeah, the hug one was the one that really threw me. I was like, there's no way you're gonna get to hug one of these guys without them shivving you or shanking you in some terrible way.
Yeah. And that's why I thought like season 2 had it really a lot easier than us, because you went on there, you already knew. Like when we went on there, you didn't know any of the stuff was going to happen, and you just was thrown out there. But when you was on season 2, if you watch season 1, then they all about making fun of you, getting you to do these weird tasks and different stuff. So I didn't see really how they could keep going year after year, because you would have to come up with stuff that people wouldn't expect. When we went, we really had no idea what the concept of the show was, why you would get eliminated, and stuff, until you was up there crying. That's why you see these men crying, tears everywhere. Because I'm looking at them, why are they crying? And I'm thinking, it's so funny.
What was your least favorite challenge on the show that you did? Because we spoke about the ones that you felt were good. So what were the ones that you felt either you could have performed better in, or you just didn't really enjoy at all because pain?
None of them really made me feel uncomfortable. The one where Tarveculis got out, I kind of feel bad for him, but I also felt on that one that they had to know it was a two-way mirror. Like some stuff I could just sense. Like we had to walk into this thing, and they had told us outside. They said, Stan wants to see how healthy you would eat, and go in there and order your lunch and then go sit down. So that's what most of them was, just all they would hear is what Stan wanted. And so when Tarveculis pulled that driver's license out under his arm, I was like, was he serious? I would just laugh, because as soon as I sat there, the guy starts talking to me about my character and telling me if a kid was in the hospital, would I go see, and if he could have his nephew or somebody. And I'm like, well, I'm not a clown. You can't just hire me. But at that point, I definitely knew that task was for you not to say that you're a superhero, and not to give away your identity and stuff. So I'm like, these boys are living their life knowing what superheroes and what you're supposed to do and not supposed to do. And I was sitting there on that challenge. I'm like, they couldn't have been that stupid and gave away that information. So some task I thought was so ridiculous. I'm like, there's no way anybody else. I'm thinking everybody passed that task until we're up on the rooftop. And I'm like, oh my God. And I said, what did he do? And so I feel so bad, because I didn't get to see him after that. He was just gone. And I was like, I wanted to knock him on the head and say, you didn't really do that, did you? So it was funny.
Is there any challenges that they possibly told you guys about, and say, like, when obviously you would have time with the producers after they'd finished filming for the day, where they said, okay, we're thinking about doing this challenge tomorrow with you guys, that ended up getting either scrapped or they didn't do due to either time restrictions or money restrictions, or even just sometimes weather restrictions? Because I think when on season 2 they did the dog challenge, there was a different challenge set up, but because of time restraints and money, they didn't get to do that challenge, so they had to bring back the dog challenge.
No,
was
on
there
ours
anything like that they wanted to do but didn't get a chance that you guys were told about?
No, on our season, every morning you didn't know what you were going to do. They never once said, oh, today you're doing a dog challenge, or today you're going to meet this person. Nothing. When you got up every morning, you had to go to makeup and wardrobe, and you put your clothes on, and we got in limousines or we got in the cars, and you're taken to a location. And then you're held in a different part where we can all sit and talk there. But once you get pulled out, if I get pulled out, I go do my task, I go to a whole different section. So they don't never see me until at the end when we all go back to the lair. So we didn't know anything from day to day. We never knew if they were feminine, if they weren't feminine. Like there's one time we're in the living room sitting on the couch all just small talking and stuff. And we're clowning. If they see an opportunity to get you saying something, they just feminine. So you never ever knew. Like people used to say it was fixed and you never knew. The only thing that you did on that show that was made up later was when after the show all was aired and you got to go home, you had to come back and do pickup scenes. And even then, you didn't even know what you were saying for why you were saying it. They would have a card and they would say this, like if I said something and it didn't come out clear on the camera, they had a card and they say, I need you to say this. And then you read in what that card says. And then they just edit it into that part. Because you may have mumbled or you may have been scared or you may have said and it didn't come out clear. So they never ever edited anything. They never edited what you did. Whatever you did when you walked across that plank, that's what they got. Now they can cut out and do what they want later, but when them dogs got you, you got on that grass, and then they said go, them dogs came. That's the first thing you knew was they told you it was some dogs once you got there and what your task was, but you're by yourself and you can either do it or you don't do it. So that was the amazing part of that show is that everything to me, it was like every time you woke up, you're like, okay, what are they doing today? You didn't even know.
Let's talk about the costumes, because everybody had a very specific look when they first came onto the show.
Right.
Yourself included. Like you mentioned, you had Twinkies instead of donuts. How did you feel when they said we're going to give you guys new costumes? And you know, what was your general feel? Because, like, I know a lot of people, when that happened, from both seasons, weren't exactly happy with the changes that got made.
Right. Well, what happened on that is the same with us. You didn't know what you were doing that day. We got up and they told us we went to makeup like we normally do. And then you went to wardrobe and they said, Stan has designed some new costumes for you. You were blindfolded. We didn't even see ourselves. When you're putting on those clothes, they put that tight corset, everything on me. I didn't see myself till they pulled it off. That's why you see different looks in the mirror. That's why the show was really good, I think, because those looks that you saw was people's genuine look. So you may have hated it, you may have loved it, or you would have been like, what the heck? Why did they put me in this, and stuff. So when I first saw myself, I was like, oh my God. And if that corset was so tight and stuff, I was like stuffed like a sausage and my breast was like all up. And I was like, oh my God. What is this? And so I just, at the time, I laughed because Stan said, you didn't seem to like your costume. It wasn't that. I was in shock. I was just like, what do they have me in? Because I could feel it was tight, but I couldn't really see it. So when I was first looking in the mirror, it took me like 10 minutes to adjust to like, is that me? So I liked it, but then some parts I didn't because, like I say, my breasts looked like they were sitting up under my neck. And I couldn't even breathe. I was like, so every time when we doing stuff now, I first have to get my breath because I can't even breathe to run and jump and stuff.
I remember speaking with Parthenon about the costume change. Now, Parthenon, before he was on the show, was very big into cosplay and still is to this very day. So he's used to working with fabrics, as was Basura from season 2.
Yeah, she does.
Both of them do a lot of costumes, so they know how certain things are supposed to be worn and how they feel when they're worn. Parthenon was kind of saying there's a point when he was blindfolded and they're putting the costume on him, and he felt something wasn't right with the costume, and he just specifically said, "Excuse me, but I don't think this is how that is supposed to be worn. Can you please adjust it?" While still blindfolded. So, do you know if there was anybody like that on season 1 that kind of just said, "Excuse me, not supposed to be worn this way"?
I don't think so. I think everybody's costumes was like mine's. I was so excited because they told me the person who did mine did Halle Berry's for X-Men, and who did my design and my costume and stuff. So I was just excited, like everything that was on. But some people, I didn't see anyone really complain, or I think everybody was pretty excited because, like, we came in with some ratty tat little stuff. I mean, you didn't really go and make a costume. Like, mine was leotards and some pants and a cape, and stuff. So when they gave you this awesome corset made out of leather and these arm bands and all this stuff, I mean, you was just happy. I think maybe I remember one person kind of complaining or not wanting to wear something, that with the costume. But I think that was part of that challenge, is that Stan would tell you that you need to learn to appreciate what you get. You got, so you didn't dare. They wouldn't dare challenge him and say, I don't like my costume, like that. So I think everybody went with the flow on that.
From what I remember of the newer costume, the one that they gave you, there was like one part of it that seemed a little bit Wonder Woman inspired to me. Like,
yeah,
it was a
like
little
the
something
V
that,
or something.
yeah.
The front, the way the corset was made, it looks like almost like a W, almost, but it's not. The way they made it is, they were kind of trying to stick to what I had, because what I went on the audition with, I had this pink one-piece swimming suit, and the front was pink and the back was black. So it looked like they was trying to stay with what we were going with, but I think that was just a design that went down the breast, and the way it did, it looked like a W. But I don't know if and then with the armbands and everything, I think all superhero costumes kind of look the same. You got you have the basic middle, is not too much more you can change about that, and then putting that corset on there.
When I seen that, I was like, that's so kind of cool, because again, it reinforced, like, again, this was me a little bit older than when I first originally watched the show. When I rewatched it and kind of remember looking at your newer costume, I was like, that is so cool, because here you have Wonder Woman, who is a superhero that basically stands up and kind of says, right, I am female, I can live in a man's world, and I can kick ass just as good as the boys. And then on top of that, then there's yourself, who's saying it's okay to be different. Just because you're different doesn't mean to say that you can't kick as much ass as everybody else. And I was like, there you have two amazing female superheroes for this generation. So I was loving that, and I was loving the fact that there is that little nod of the tip of the hat or nod of the head to Wonder Woman on your costume as well, or even if it's not like deliberately inspired by Wonder Woman, it still has that kind of little kind of just nod to the head, like, hey, we know she was the first kind of like female superhero, really.
And see, we don't know what the designer was thinking. They could have been like you're thinking, but we never met the people, and we don't know exactly, what was what inspired them or anything, because we never talked to them, but it could very well be. But on that note, I think, like, at the end, what was proven, even though, like, with the ending the way it was, I kind of feel like my character went a lot further than everyone else, even though I didn't win at the end, because of the heart. Like, I gave it my heart. And after the show, I went to conventions like 3 or 4 a month. I was flown all over the world, even as far as Australia. I went to London, I went to all kind of places and did autographs. Yeah. And I have 4 comic books, and people, get my books and stuff. So I think it went like further for me. So just because they pick a winner doesn't always mean this is what the world, and that's what I wanted to prove to people, is that people are going to like you because you're genuine. When it's not because how much you cry, or it's how much you put your heart into something. So that's what we have to realize, is just be out there and support each other, and your good is going to come to you.
Let's talk about the finale. It boiled down to yourself and feedback. Now, me and my cousins spoke about it, and we did not pigeon post either yourself or feedback. We were kind of looking at Major Victory at one point and going, yeah, we can see him going far,
right?
Because he had that special something about him. We couldn't put our finger on what it was, but we were like, yeah,
right.
We can see him at least get into the final three, and I think he was actually one of the final.
Yeah, he
three.
was.
And then when he was eliminated, we were like, oh god, this is a game changer. You know, we can't say to ourselves who's going to win it. And it was like the dog challenge all over again. Like, we were sitting there hand in hand when they were teasing us, saying, and the winner is, and they're playing your little video, his little video, and we're like, for God's sake, just tell us.
Yeah. Well,
how was
on
that
one? I was going to say, what you probably forgot is there's a scene there where I go in the bathroom. It wasn't a breakdown. It was like, I felt so bad. Okay, we were in the kitchen cooking, and it was the final three. It was me, Feedback, and Major Victory. And so we were all talking, and I was making tacos and stuff, and they were waiting. And I looked at their face, and I just started crying. And I had to go to the bathroom. I went in the bathroom, so the producer and the people came in there with their cameras, of course, to the door. They didn't come in. They just came to the door. And then one of the producers came in. And I was telling him, I said, let me go out for the third runner-up. They can eliminate me this week and leave the two boys, because I couldn't see taking that from either one of them. Because at the time, Major Victory was really, really a good player, and I thought he should have been there, him and Feedback. And he had a daughter, and he was doing this for his daughter, and he was so proud and everything. So I had the same feelings I had for Feedback that I had for Major Victory. The difference is that the show chose to put him out on that one. And I kind of, really, I told them I was going to walk off of the show, is what we were talking about in the bathroom. Because I said, I can't see. I have a young son, and he was only like 5 then. And I said, this would be like stealing something from them. I said, when I came, I didn't know who Stan Lee was. And I told them that. I said, I knew nothing about comic books. The winner gets a comic book written by Stan Lee. And, all the stuff that was coming along was around this superhero. So at that point, I said, I proved my point. What I came to do, I got it out in the air, and that was my job that I felt like I wanted to accomplish. So I already felt like I was a winner. So I said, give it to one of the boys, and they promised me that they would do something. So anyway, that night ended, and we went to the rooftop. Well, then Major Victory got eliminated. So at the end, Feedback knew about this. So even at the end of the show, I think someone had talked to him. But at the end of the show, he was really thankful to me because he felt like I gave it up to him. I don't feel like I gave it up to him. I was saying to give it to one of them that really wanted that, show and really had a meaning for what it's like winning Project Runway and I don't sew, it's like, so I was like, give it to one of them that really deserve it, because I've done what I came to accomplish. So I feel good at the end when he won. I really feel good at the end because I felt like he really loved Stan Lee, and he was one of the diehard fans, and he just deserved it, to have that opportunity. So I don't take anything back or look at it in any negative way, but I would have loved Chris to do it too. But of course, only one of them could win. But Major Victory was awesome. I mean, he was a top notch. Like with it, he always talked about his daughter, and she even came. And, at the last show, I think, before he left and stuff. So it turned out really good for everyone.
Let's talk about life after the show now, because you did mention a little bit about going to Comic-Cons and meeting fans of the show. Even having your own comic book published, which was predominantly the thing that you guys were all fighting for.
Right.
Inverted commas. How did Fat Mama Nell take off after the show? Did you ever think she was going to explode the way she did, or?
No, I didn't. After the show, a lot of people was interested in my character and me coming to meet people. I have gone to hundreds of schools. Like I've gone to Philadelphia, to some of the inner city schools, and I talk to the kids. I go to classes, and it gives me chills because when I think about, like, I've gone to classes where I let kids ask me questions, and I've had 3 or 4 kids that told me they were going to commit suicide and they thought about killing themselves and stuff. And they told me, they wrote me letters or emails, and they told me after they heard me talk and stuff that they didn't want to kill themselves anymore. And I've personally, like, called them and talked to them over the phone, you know. So it was like really a good thing for me that I went to conventions and people would come, they would bring me gifts, they would bring me food and, you know, all kind of stuff. So these fans would just make you see that they really believe in you, and they, you know. So when I went to conventions, I made it a point not to do all that charging like people would do for autographs and stuff. I would charge $10 and they can get my book, my comic book, and they get my autograph and stuff. But I would have people like young kids, and they would come and they didn't have any money. I wouldn't charge to take pictures. I took pictures with everyone for free if they wanted pictures. And so even comic books, I would sell them for $5, you know, just to get the printing money back that it cost me to print the, you know, the books and stuff. And then a lot of kids, just because I want them to read and stuff, I would autograph a book and I would give it to them. Because to me, it's like, it's not all about the selling, because it always came back. Because I had people flying me to Florida. I would go to like 3 or 4 different conventions out there, and they would pay for my hotel, they pay for my airfare, and then whatever I make from autographs, I would get to keep. And the same when I went to Australia, I'm like, who's going to fly 14 hours, you know, and see, have all these fans and people just waiting for you. So I thought it was a big blessing. I think it came out really good. I wish that, I know Feedback was doing a lot of his work. So he does computers and stuff. So he couldn't get away from work a lot of the times. But I think it was the show at the end. It opened up a lot of doors for me, and it let me just express myself and to come out and to be myself. And I think it did help a lot of people.
Awesome. How do you feel now looking back on the show, and obviously looking back on your experiences going to Comic-Con and working with Stan Lee? How has that changed your life? You know,
I think it changed my life in a lot of ways. I mean, since then, I still go to Comic-Cons, and they welcome me every year, and I can get a booth and, you know, talk to people. When I see Stan, it's the awesome thing. They let me come up there and talk to him and, you know, stuff, so I don't have to wait in line. And my son is like, oh, come on, you want to meet Stan? You know? So it's a lot of good little props and stuff. I've gone to their parties and, you know, things that they do. So I think it opened up a lot of doors as far as me getting into that industry of doing that kind of stuff. Like, I would have never put out the comic books, but after I did, I've had, what it opened up is a lot of artists would contact me and they would say, I want to write your book. So that's how I got 4 comic books, is that I had different people. All these people volunteered and did stuff for free. There's not like a lot of people have to go and pay a lot of money to get this, but they wanted. And Stan, I got his approval, and he's in my first 2 comic books. So, you know, it just opened up a lot of doors for me that wouldn't have been there, and you know, if I hadn't done that. After that, I went back to school for culinary because I love cooking. So it got me inspired, because I'm a single parent. When I started that show, I was a single parent raising my 3 kids, and now I've gone back to school. I've got my culinary degree. I've worked at this nice big hotels, the Intercontinental Hotel in Beverly Hills, and I do a lot of catering events and stuff like that. So I've taken it away a little bit, because what I didn't want to do is to make it like I did it for fame and fortune. I more or less did it for my message. So now and then, like with you calling me, people call me and ask me to do different things and to appear on different things. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I take it as fun. I don't take it as I'm going to just die and just do this, you know, and go at any price. I still leave it where I want it to be fun. I want it to be natural, you know, because I'm not an actress. Like a lot of people said on those shows, they picked actors and stuff. But I wasn't an actress, and I suck at acting when I'm trying to read a script, you know. But it was more of, it was definitely a reality show. And it was definitely something I think that just was for fun and to keep people going. I don't think you get rich off of reality shows. People think you get rich. You don't get rich, but you do become recognized and you do have doors open that's there, and it's up to you to take the opportunity and expand it.
Now, I'm going to very, very, very quickly touch on two things. Did you watch season 2 when that aired?
Yes, I did watch it.
And
I know some of them,
it?
like I met Hygiena and we've hung out and we've called each other, you know, personally and stuff. So, and we had a lot in common. I liked her character and, you know, so I did meet all, and I did get to see the second one, and we did some events together where both seasons came together.
Was there anything that you watched on season 2, and I'm going to ask you not to include the dog one because obviously that was something that was on both seasons. But is there anything on season 2 that you remember watching and just going, yeah, I remember going through that?
I just remember when they were in the lair, sometimes the stuff that they was doing, to me, it was like I say, they knew it was coming or something. You know, it seemed like they knew it was going to happen. So I didn't think that they had it as hard as we had it because we didn't know what was going to happen. But I think they all were pretty good, the characters and stuff on there. I think it, I don't know, some people say one was better than the other. I think they just both carried their own weight as far as, you know, if you liked it, you liked it for certain characters or certain reasons, you know. But I definitely think it was pretty similar to what ours was. They just, you know, tried to clean it up a little bit and make the challenges seem a little different so they wouldn't be so obvious.
Now, over here in the UK, we did get a season 3 of Who Wants to Be a Superhero, but it was very, very different from the dynamic of the previous 2 seasons. And it didn't do as well as what the first 2 seasons did. In fact, I don't even think it got a full season on air, very, very sadly. It was specifically done with children going through the tasks, and as opposed to being a superhero, it was more of a sidekick role. I honestly
think I heard of it.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it didn't do greatly over here because it wasn't the same kind of dynamic as what the previous 2 seasons had done. And I don't think Stanley was as heavily involved as he was in the other 2 also, which was kind of like a pulling factor, some people would say, for the first 2 seasons. Like, hey, Stanley. So, given that that didn't do so well, if the producers of the show had to contact you again and say, hey, we're thinking about doing, let's call it a season 4, and we want you, as well as a few other people, to come back as a mentor to the new generation, would that be something that you would say, where do I sign up for? Or would you be kind of like, I will come back, but only on a trial basis?
No, I think if they said that, especially to be a mentor, I would definitely jump at it and say, yeah, because I think it's fun to keep, even if you surprising a whole new set of people. That show had so many good values that people could learn from, whether it's kids or adults. I would definitely be open to do something like that because I think that our world needs that. We have too much junk TV. I mean, you could always turn the TV on and just see some junk all day and stuff that doesn't mean anything, you know. So why not have something that's inspiring people? If it inspires and wakes people up or gives them a special message, I think, yeah, they should. I wish they would do something else, you know, where you're doing something, because I thought I heard of one called Who Wants to Be a Sidekick. Is that the name?
I think that was the season 3 that we got, but like I said, it didn't test well over here. And I remember feeling so bad about it because I remember saying it was from the same people who did Who Wants to Be a Superhero. It was the same kind of concept, and I was like, I hope this does well, because it's kind of slightly tagged to that show now. And then when it flopped, I was like, oh dear God, no.
Well, on that, I think the reason why some stuff flops too is because they change. Like on season 1, the producer is the guy who had all these good ideas, and he was the same guy, Scott Satin, that made some of the other reality shows that was really took off. So I think season 2, where they messed up, is that they put a whole new crew on there and they didn't use him. So I mean, a lot of times you definitely have to stick with what works, and when you start changing and think, oh, we could do the same thing and somebody can copy it, it's not always that easy, because it's like replacing Steven Spielberg and just say, oh, somebody else can make a movie just like him. Well, no, you don't have the mind of him, and it's not going to come out the same. So I think that, to me personally, I think that's why it started going down a little bit.
I think one of the other issues was that while seasons 1 and 2 were adults, the Sidekick one was more children-based, and these were really young children. And none of them really had much of a personality like what an adult would. So it made it very difficult to relate to them as a viewer. So from that aspect, I can see why it's a pretty big, drastic change in that regard.
Yeah.
Didn't really work.
And that's the same thing I'm saying. That's kind of what happened with season 2, is that and then when you go to the next one, is casting. The person casting, if they looking for the right stuff, like they knew when they put us together. I remember when we went for an interview on that show after they thought about using you, we had to go see a psychiatrist, and we talked to a psychiatrist, and they knew all about your personality. So they do tests. And they know me and Lemuria wasn't gonna, we were gonna clash. They probably knew me and Feedback was gonna interact the way. So that makes a big difference, is that when they're casting, like I say with Scott Satin, he knows what to look for when he's looking at people and he's interacting with you, versus if you just pick someone else and they just think, oh, this guy is funny, but he may not be the person that can carry the show over. So you definitely have to look at who you hire, who they hire to carry that stuff. And like I say, if something works really good, why change it, for the next season? Definitely. You may have to pay a little more money to get Stan. You might have to pay this extra money, but you need his name and you need his personality and stuff for all that stuff to work.
So my last question for you is, let's put this question to Fat Mama. Fat Mama, if you have any words of encouragement for anyone out there, what would they be?
As Fat Mama would say, you got to be yourself. You got to get up every morning, look in the mirror, and say, I love me. This is me. This is how God made you. He makes no mistakes. I feel like each one of you are perfect. You're lovable. We care for each other. And I want you to wake up every morning and just be happy to be here. Once you're happy, the rest of your day has to flow. Sometimes my kids get mad because they say, I wake up, how can you wake up singing? And I'm always singing and talking and not just a chitter chat. And I'm like, what else could you do? You could either wake up and be happy and take the world on, or you could wake up if you start down and depressed and you have to have coffee and this and that to be your upper, then it just goes downhill from there. So just love yourself, be there for yourself, and always look at your family, your friends, and treat people the way you want to be treated, and you'll have a good life.
Awesome. So guys, with that being said, if you have any questions that you would like to ask myself or Nell, please put them down in the comment section. I think it's like down there, Nell. Do you see the comment section? Right
yeah, I see it. Yep. Put it right there.
Yep, down there in the comment section. And either myself or Nell will try our very, very best to answer your question.
Yep.
Also, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up, because we love our thumbs.
Thanks for listening
And
and watching.
do remember to subscribe to the channel where there is Inside Cosplay that you can go and watch, where I talk to a whole bunch of amazing cosplayers. Also, do check out the other interviews on Behind the Mask. Hopefully we'll be getting some more people in for that. If for some strange reason you want to see some gaming content, there is other gaming shows happening on my channel as well. We have some Telltale games being played, as well as some Injustice 2. So I dare say your son Nell will very much like that, because it's got Batman in it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So you can check that out if he wants.
Okay.
But if for some strange reason you want more of me, I can't think why people would want to hear more of me, you can catch up with me on this wonderful website at iGameOnline.net. It is a free website, guys. We charge you nothing to sign up. And as you can see, we're both on Facebook and YouTube. On that website you can catch up with many different shows that I'm involved with, like the tabletop sessions that we are currently working on are MERP 2, which is our Lord of the Rings role-playing tabletop session, as well as our Dragonlance, and a very new show which I'm currently not allowed to speak about, or I might not be allowed to speak about, I don't know, I could have seriously screwed up here. But do go check out those. We have over 130 episodes of season 1 of MERP, so go check out them. See what Dylan Trask, Sabi, Estelle and Theo are all up to, and what adventures we have. And yeah, if tabletop is not your thing, you can also check out our cosplay section with any UK cosplayers, which include Covey Kicks, Alpha Betty and Little Rascal. See what cosplay events they're going to and what they're cosplaying as. But in the meantime, guys, I'd like to thank Nell for taking the time out and doing this interview with us.
You're welcome.
I've been Jai452, Nell has been Nell, and this has been Behind the Mask. And we will be back with another interview very soon. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.